Why do most traders fail mentally, and what's the one simple fix that allows every single trader to change their life? Well, you've clicked the right video, because in this video, I'll explain everything you need to know about your psychology to massively improve your trading. So guys, first of all, to explain this, I'm going to basically draw out the first guy here, who is what we can call an emotional trader. So let's just put an E right next to this guy here. He's the emotional trader. And then on this side here we're gonna have the detached trader, okay? Now, this is super important in trading. You need to understand that the difference from this guy to this guy is literally what makes him profitable, okay? So what we need to do is we need to work out, what is he doing that he isn't? And how has he been able to do this to become profitable? Because trust me, without becoming detached from your trading, you won't be profitable. So now let's actually dive deeper into this. Most traders actually live here. They're totally attached to every single trade that they take. So for example, if they have a winning trade, they're very, very happy, right? They're thinking to themselves, wow, I'm doing something right. I'm actually seeing progress. But as soon as they now have a losing trade, okay, guess what? Now they're very sad. Now they think that trading doesn't work. And now the worst part about all of this is they start to question their strategy, and they start to question if trading even is for them, because they've had a few losing trades. Now, a very good way to actually understand this before I move on to the ways of the detached trader is you need to understand that in trading, your trades are not always going to win. Now, I'm going to draw out a very simple diagram like this. And this is going to explain everything perfectly, okay? So for example, let's say on Monday, you've got an A-class setup. Perfect. Tuesday, let's say you've got a missed trade. Maybe Wednesday, you've got another A-class setup. And Thursday, another A-class setup, okay? This guy right here, the emotional trader, is going to be very, very happy. He's going to be thinking, okay, this strategy is working really, really well. This is clearly working for me, and I think I've found the strategy. I think I've done everything I need to do, and I think profitability is around the corner. But what ends up happening is he has no trade, no trade, no trade, no trade, right? There's no opportunities, there's no A-class setups here. And what he ends up doing is literally what defeats him as a trader. And this is why he never becomes successful, okay? Because there's no trades here, he starts to doubt his strategy. He starts to think that trading his strategy only worked in this week here. But now in this week, he starts to think, okay, maybe the strategy is not working anymore. Let me learn a new strategy. Let me become emotionally attached to trading. And as a result, he now starts to doubt his strategy. He's too emotionally attached to trading, right? And he's never gonna see results this way. As the week continues, right? He's taking no trades, he's taking no trades. Eventually, an A-class setup comes because, of course, guys, in trading, these setups will always come. Now, he misses this trade because in this week here, he ended up changing his strategy. He's ended up deciding that this strategy that worked for him last week no longer works, and he now needs to learn a new one. But this is literally the worst thing to do, because now that he's seen he's missed a trade here, because he's changed his strategy from his old strategy, which worked, he's now avoided this trade. And now the day after, even though there's no setup, he still thinks that this strategy now works, and he goes and takes a trade here, ends up losing because there was no setup on this day, but because he missed the day before, because he changed his strategy here, he's now gone and take a trade for no reason, and he's lost. This is the way of an emotional trader. This is what 99% of people do. They become so emotionally attached to trading that they never see success. They are so focused on winning every single trade, and they never ever will make it this way, right? Whereas this guy over here, let me actually get rid of some of this drawing because this is a bit crazy. Whereas this guy over here, the detached trader, he understands that his job isn't to win. He's happy having no trades for an entire week. He's happy avoiding trading. He doesn't even focus on trading. His focus is literally the gym. His focus is, right, I'm gonna write this in here, the gym, right? His focus is social media. This will all make sense later on, by the way, okay? His focus is family. That is absolutely disgusting handwriting. But the point is, his focus is not on trading. He's detached from trading. And as a result of this, okay, he is a better trader. And this is literally the only way to become profitable, is to stop caring about trading. Now, people won't tell you this because people just don't care enough to tell you, and they're not honest enough to tell you either, okay? But the way to become successful is to learn one strategy and become detached from your trading, focus on things that aren't related to trading, to become detached from trading, and then your trading will massively improve. That is the way of the detached, successful, happy trader. Now guys, once I understood that trading isn't always about being right, it's about following your edge and trusting your edge while being detached from the result of that edge. For example, if you take a trade and it ends up losing, like I showed you guys on the whiteboard, and it loses like maybe 5 times in a row, that doesn't mean the strategy doesn't work. You need to understand all that means is the probability isn't in your favor of wins, it's in the favor of losses. But as traders, we need to understand that there is no such thing as a strategy that wins every single day, okay? So you have to become unattached to the outcome of your trades, because if you see a losing trade 1 time, 2 times, 3 times in a row, and you let that get into your head, then you're just going to keep going through the spiral of negativity and never seeing results. Now, before I get into the rest of the video, I've got 3 more points on this topic which will massively help your trading. But I want to make sure you guys all subscribe, and if you guys enjoy this style of content, let me know in the comments and I'll start to make a lot more just like this. Now, the interesting thing about psychology is that most traders think that it's a result of their discipline that they're not profitable. They think that if they improve their discipline, that will increase their profitability, but they are not actually addressing the real cause of their issue. The real issue is actually the fact that they're attached to every trade. And as a result of being attached to every single trade, you now think it's your discipline, but in reality, it's the fact that you're not mentally strong enough in order to become unattached from these trades. Now, people also think that in order to do this, you need to become more disciplined, but the two don't actually go hand in hand. And this is why I'm going to be telling you in more detail how to actually. Now, the shift to actually change your reality and actually start to become detached from your trading is you need to actually start taking the trades that you say you're going to take. Without taking the trades that you're meant to be taking, as much as you might think you're disciplined, as much as you might think you're journaling, as much as you might think you're actually following a strategic system in your trading, you're not, because you're not even taking the same trades you're meant to be taking based on your strategy. So how can you become emotionally unattached to your trading when you're taking every sort of trade every single day, okay? So the first fix to this is to actually do what you say you're going to do. Actually take the trades you're meant to be taking. Actually sit down with a plan, with a detailed plan. And by the way, guys, I'm gonna get the whiteboard back, okay? Because what you really should be doing is you should be actually writing out a plan on a whiteboard like this, just like I did at university. In fact, it wasn't actually on a whiteboard, it was actually on a piece of cardboard because I was that poor I couldn't afford a whiteboard, to be honest. But just give me a second while I rub all of this off. Know what we'll do? We're gonna keep the happy man on the right hand side and we'll just get rid of everything else, okay? So here we go. So what you need to do is you need a plan. You need an actual plan to follow every single day. And this is the first step in becoming unattached from your trading. Without doing this, without having a step-by-step plan of things to follow, okay, how are you gonna become like this happy guy here? It's literally not possible, because every time you go into the charts, you don't even know what you're looking for in the first place. You have to become so focused on your strategy and following your plan, okay, that is like impossible for you to not win a trade, or for you to, sorry, not win a trade, but I mean not follow it, okay? Because every single time you take a trade, you should be so focused on sticking to this plan, which ideally you want right in front of you, right above your trading laptop, okay? Now, of course, everyone's plan is different. And if you want my step-by-step trading plan, I'm gonna be giving it to you for completely free inside of my free Discord, which I've started very, very recently. So if you want the free Discord, the link will be in the bio. But basically, you need a step-by-step plan. So let's say you've got confluence number 1, confluence number 2, confluence number 3, confluence number 4. Now, every single day, you're going to be following these confluences, and you're gonna make sure that you actually wait to see all of these things, okay? And that's how you can become like this guy here. Because there's no way to become emotionally unattached from your trading if you don't even know what you're looking for in the first place. People love to think, you know, I can become unattached from my trading and not care about the outcome, but they don't even have a strategy. Now, you might think you have a strategy, by the way. You might think you actually have a strategy, but you probably don't. Unless you can actually look at your journal and say with confidence that every single trade you've taken for the last 3 or 4 months was for the exact same 4 reasons or 5 reasons, then you don't have a strategy. You have an idea, you have a belief that you think is a strategy, but you don't actually put it into practice. So you can't become unattached emotionally without doing this in the first place. Now, the reason I know this to work is because it changed my life. I literally taking terrible trades, and I'll probably throw up a picture somewhere on the screen, or my editor will put it up somewhere, but literally I had this plan. I follow this every single day, and I went from blowing funded accounts, quite literally blowing account after account every single week, to eventually passing accounts. And it got to a point where I remember I was working a 9-to-5 job, right? I've been in the trenches, guys, just like you have. And I ended up, it feels like I just became profitable. It feels like out of nowhere, you just achieve profitability, but it only comes when you actually follow your strategy. And then you can become unattached from the outcome. Then you can start focusing on the gym. Then you can start actually doing all of these things, right? But it only comes if you actually follow your strategy to begin with, because if you don't, then you're not going to actually be unattached from the outcome. Now, leading on from this point, the gym, family, social media, these are all things which I started to do from the very beginning of my trading journey. Why is this? It's because it helps you to become unattached. Your focus as a trader, it sounds insane, but it shouldn't be trading. Your focus as a trader should be to learn one strategy, and that's it. Come off YouTube, come off everything else, focus on producing content instead of consuming content. Once you know your strategy, okay, that's it. And I can't stress enough the importance of doing this. And once you know your strategy, that's when you can start to become unattached. And the only way to do that is by, like I said, practicing the strategy every single day. And the second way is start going to the gym. Start keeping yourself busy so that when you're on the charts, when you're looking to take a trade, you're not even caring about the outcome because you've got other stuff to do. For example, okay, today's Saturday, but let's say it was a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Thursday or a Friday and the charts are open. I don't actually care about the outcome of the trade. I don't actually care at all if I take a trade because I'll be busy 24/7 while the charts are open. Now, this could be for me in form of making a social media video. It could be in the gym. It could be on a trading call with my community, helping them to learn how to trade. It could be going for a run. It could be on a call with my family, right? It could be anything. And as a result of this, because I'm not caring about trading, my trading improves. And what I've noticed from my own experience, and also the experience of loads of other people who I help, is that once they can stop caring about trading, that's when, and it sounds crazy to say, but that's when you see success. So guys, before I wrap it all up, I'm gonna leave you with one more thought. Next time you take a trade, ask yourself, am I just trying to win or am I following my edge? And if you're just trying to win for the sake of winning, for the sake of showing off to your Instagram posts nobody cares about, because you're not profitable yet, that you've hit a winning trade and made $2,000 on a demo, actually start to follow your strategy. Actually start to follow your plan. Become emotionally unattached from your trading, and your trading will improve as a result. I hope this video helped you guys. I'll see you on the next one.